different reasons why you're running these guys. The duos came out with C9's top lane, Impact the shield, then they have Ray who's the spear.
Yep.
And right off the bat, some top lane focus in the bans here from Cloud9. Rumble is still one of the most picked blind pick top laners, even though we've seen things like the Mundo, like the AD Cannon coming out there to try and deal with them. So maybe they're trying to manipulate this to get Impact something like a Shen, or a Nautilus, one of these highly prioritized tanks that we've seen both of them kind of go for.
Exactly. So making sure those carries are out of the way. And Zig, he has played a lot of carries, but there's still things up there. If they picked him as Shen, Zig, undefeated on GP all-time 5-0 record for that champion.
Plus the Kled, always a pocket pick that we look to from him. He was the first to really bring it out in North America.
And right here, we're seeing a jungle pinch from Phoenix1. Rengar's still on the table, Inori, and they're actually going to ban that away. That is really surprising, and that means that Graves is kind of the one that's left up here.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because Inori, part of the integration with the team that he talked about when he came back was being more of a team player, and he did have that game on Ivern, which forces you to be a team player. So maybe they're obviously shifting a little bit away from this super hard carry from the jungle with these three bans here. Those were the immediate ones that would come to mind.
I was actually just going to bring that up as well. We saw contracts in the beginning of this split using that Ivern himself, and also seeing the effect Inori has had on it now. So both teams are going to say, we want that, but not this game.
Yeah, this game, maybe a Graves first pick. Also, a Lulu is a possibility, but because there's 4 jungle champions banned, you expect it to be the Graves here for Inori. He played his first Graves game last week in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, especially since the Zyra is still up, the Malzahar is still up. There are a lot of options here to go for. Remember, Cloud9 chose to go for red side for the counter pick, though. And they are going to be able to lock in the Ashe for Sneaky, and the late game scaling there from Lulu, able to give him extra attack speed.
I really just love the focus on the junglers here. Both teams showing how much power and respect they can actually bring into this game. You see the Ashe and the Lulu you guys talked about, waiting for Phoenix1, 10 seconds on their second pick here.
Could be the Malzahar, could be the Zyra, the Shen also, something that I was expecting to be banned against Zig because he has been pulling some Shen bans lately.
Part of what I thought Cloud9 were manipulating the early ban phase towards them stealing away, but Phoenix1 are going to be able to jump right on that. The Rumble is off the table. There still are things like Gangplank and other answers here that we can see for Shen, though.
Yeah, the Shen was actually banned both times by Cloud9 up in the previous matchup. And there it is.
Okay.
The LeBlanc coming through for Rio. It's one of the champions that he decimated against Dignitas.
Do you think it's the blind pick?
Oh, yeah.
3-0 currently, I believe, this split on LeBlanc. And we'll see how he likes the Gunblade version. Everybody has been pretty happy with it thus far.
Pretty tricky. A nice little burst of damage to the opposing team when it's unexpected. Definitely helps out at the kind of power spike of that buy. Definitely can help you win the lane very easily.
And this is really fun, too, because what Phoenix1 have done is they're forcing them to take a jungle, and now they'll probably ban Orianna. Jensen has played 5 Orianna games in a row. He loves that champion, and it forced Cloud9, since they had taken their support and their AD carry in the first round, to really take a jungle here, or you just destroy that pool with your second bans from Phoenix1.
It is interesting because Jensen has also looked super good on Syndra, super good on the Echo. We'll see if they decide to try and attack that mid lane and take down one of Cloud9's main carries in the second ban phase. The 80 carries, though, are the bans for Cloud9. No surprise there. That is the unanswered role. Phoenix1 still have yet to select something for Arrow, and taking the Varus off the table first. Maybe they'll end up taking the Ezreal off as well.
Always keep himself safe on the back line. We know with the Varus, he has awesome positioning. Ezreal can give him the same kind of run around the fight. As they ban out the Nautilus, making sure Impact doesn't have a huge tank to get wild growth. And now the Kalista actually getting out. So they say you will be on the Ezreal. If he locks that one in, we've seen quite a bit, unless he kind of pulls out reckless pocket picks. Or I should say a book bag of picks.
And it's funny, too, because the Kalista, I think, is actually a really smart ban here. Because Shady's play style, he loves things like Fiddlesticks. He loves to go in. He loves to have those aggressive mages, too.
Very true.
So if they're last picking both their support and AD, you could definitely pick something very aggressive in the support position and have the Kalista save Shady, who's also a rookie that you want to look to exploit.
I would expect Cloud9 actually to go with a top laner here for Impact before much longer. Yeah, there we go. Possibility is Gragas. It has been pretty frequently banned as well. We'll see how Impact has studied up on it, though. I don't remember him playing it very frequently.
Yeah, it
at
wasn't
all.
very frequent. He played it a few times. He's played it once, and he lost that game on it as well.
All right, well, there is going to be a decent amount of initiation here from the Cloud9 squad. Obviously, Gragas can double as disengage for them, but the Ash Arrow into Gragas Ultimate has been one of the best, pick combos. You can just get somebody right into the team. Plus, you can also isolate people very easily with that ultimate for the Kazakhs cleanup there. And you may see something like the Contracts, what was it, 12 kills straight games, 8-17, something like that. That he had on Rango. There's the Ezreal that we expected, though.
I love this team from Phoenix1, mainly because I love teams that can hop in and out. 4 of the members can do that. Very tricky to grab, and then to speed up from Karma. It's going to be hard for C9 to lock this team down as they go for a final pick.
And well, exactly what Phoenix1 have done here is this is a 1-3-1 composition to the core. Shen, LeBlanc, Gunblade, and gets a Lichbane. You have double TP, you have triple globals in this composition. You have a Karma for your 3-man unit, and you have wave clear with Graves, who can also just show up in lanes and destroy the minion wave. So Phoenix1 want to split the map, and Cloud9 answer.
I've been waiting to see the Kassadin into the LeBlanc here. You still have to be a little bit worried if she does take Ignite. But currently, I would expect both of them to take Teleport so that they can play into that 1-3-1. And it looks like Cloud9 do want to answer it, want to get Kassadin up to that scaling split pusher. No, this is still pre-buffs for Kassadin, though, so everybody doesn't have to freak out quite as much about the current live patch of Kassadin buffs that are on there. Still quite a good counter, though, into LeBlanc.
And C9 have had 2 weeks to prepare for this matchup. They've seen the LeBlanc from Ryu. They've been able to hide some strategies, and this Kassadin seems like something they were preparing specifically for this. They picked red side, looked like they were trying to set up something along these lines. Yeah,
it is super nice with the shield that you get off of your Q, and you can sustain your mana pretty easily. The one problem that everybody always talks about, lack of wave clear. And that's the one thing with LeBlanc. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's this assassin that also can wave clear.
He does both.
And that's the biggest thing there, right? So that might still be the advantage if they're able to get rolling early. Meanwhile, though, we are going to have to watch out for that snowballing from the junglers.
All right, going to be heading into match for semifinals, P1 versus Cloud9. Who will move on to that finals match in Vancouver? We will have to see who is tested in this best of 5. As we said before, Cloud9 only taken down in a BO5 versus TSM, but P1 has been on a streak towards the end of the season, only hindered by Cloud9, so we'll have to see if they can overcome that.
Yeah, they were hindered by Cloud9 and TSM both. They had that 0-2, actually 0-4 on game record weekend in week 9, but they recovered in the quarters. Now they're here in the semis, and they're playing up against Cloud9, and it's game 1.
We're on the Rift, and we'll see how everybody sets up. Possible line of scrimmage here, and a little bit of love for the Raptors to make sure top side has some trouble.
Always happens. But Inori, we'll check for the start here. I do want to talk a little bit more about this Kassadin, because the Dark Seal start, something that's become more and more common, but Ryu went for a sustained start here up against him, and you do have to get through that shield like you were talking about, Kobe. It's annoying.
Definitely true. Deathfire touch as well, good for laning. Some people, it's a lot fewer, do take the Thunder Lords there for the burst for later to try and catch AD carries and whatnot by surprise, but the consistent damage from Harass during lane phase is so good with Deathfire. Highly recommended. The other thing, when we do have assassins in the mid lane matching up like this, and we mentioned the lack of wave clear from Kassadin and a little bit more risky wave clear from LeBlanc, is that it also raises importance on, will this bottom lane get smashed again from Phoenix1? Because if you take the bottom turret and rotate your AD carry support up to mid lane, the chaining of turrets definitely becomes an issue.
Yeah, and especially since it's something like an Ashe, where you can just, if you open up the map, you have way more places to actually just send arrows from it. Zig took one, so there won't be a level 2 here. He took 2. And he'll actually hit level 2 a bit of the wave earlier than Impact.
Yeah, definitely true. He can hit it a whole wave earlier, and he's also getting some harass on the way up, so going pretty well for Zig so far.
Looking nice, should even out. Impact obviously sustain up in lane just by using his abilities. We'll see a little action here later. Teleports on 4 members, top and mid, all have at level 6, will be quite active. And we'll We'll see who can gain control at that time if somebody has not already.
Super nice trading so far from Zig. You know, getting the pass through on the Q.
About to hit two.
Multiple hits, and he's also getting into the brush.
One more creep will get him 2 there. And Impact was trying to push as much as he could to kind of even it out.
The other thing, you got to watch, you know, jungler starts here, and they should have signaled. Well, you pretty much assume at this stage of competitive play that they're starting on the Raptor camp, unless you see otherwise. So, Inori did obviously start on the Raptor camp. Gets got a little bit. I think it just clipped him on the end there.
Yeah.
To see that he is now up on the top side, and Impact should be a little bit wary. Because Shen, although he doesn't pack a whole bunch of damage, can set up ganks very well for Graves damage.
And that's a hawk shot as well that will travel past things like the Raptor camp and will spot that the blue hasn't been done yet. So they do know that Inori is on this side of the map and can infer that, even if they didn't spot him at the Wolves.
Depending on how much Impact actually pushes up here. Going for his ward now won't be caught by Inori. Also, Inori may just back without the mana there.
Pushing up to put a ward over the wall at the blast cone and in the river to make sure that he doesn't get ganked by Inori. Because Inori's on top side. And so bottom will play aggressive and shove in like you can see Sneaky doing right now alongside Smoothie.
And you do have to use 2 wards for that coverage. However, you get way more time. Usually people will just drop it in that brush there. But then you already have lost out on another, you know, second basically of time to react to the gank that you see coming. And if you're already shoved up, then sometimes you can't disengage even if you do see them on the way. Meanwhile, though, they are also going to know that Inor is going for this invade up through the top side. Impact's still going to play a little bit cautiously up there. Shouldn't be much for him to take, though.
Yep, blasts the Scryer's Bloom, but they know that that is taken, so Contracts can make a play on the bottom side of the map. And this is where you have to tell your bottom side, you have to play really safe right now, because Inori's doing Krugs.
Yep, they did get a couple of pings on him, so they're aware that Contracts is also stealing the Krugs. Should be a mirrored counter jungling.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're completely aware that Inori is doing the Krugs from Cloud9's side, because Impact is still about that halfway point and is in a gankable position. Inori doesn't have the red buff anymore, but there is no coverage here from Impact, and this could be the first gank of the game.
Nice job by Inori to pull it away from that minion wave that's coming up from the top side. Damage on Impact is not going to be enough, but they still give the pressure to Zig to keep that lane going somewhat in his favor, 35-23 in CS.
Yeah, like that cancel there from Inori as he realizes that he needs to stick around to counter jungle an extra camp, least he fall behind the Raptors. So far, junglers pretty mirrored.
Yeah, taking each other's Raptors too.
Jensen starting to gain control of the mid lane. He has to be careful, though, about getting baited up to the top side.
Yeah.
He should know that Inori's been counter jungling here.
Both junglers are here.
Ryu trying to get out immediately. Nice flash. Dodges out on Contracts Q to W, and it looks like Inori could be in this fight for Jensen. They're both peeling off. Jensen looks for the shield. So they're going to be help from Ryu if he were to come back in. So they get Ryu's flash overall.
Well, also the bottom lane had priority,
Contracts.
so you could see that Smoothie already started rotating up alongside Sneaky.
2 flashes for 1 in that. Zig teleport also used to get back to his top lane, and Impacts is on cooldown. So things may calm down here as the junglers get themselves back and into their camps. 41-34. Impact's not having too much trouble. He can still be Gragas. That CS is not going to be a big difference to him. So this lane could really provide as we get up to that level 6. We get up to those teleports being back.
And as we're seeing these first buys come through, the teleports both being used mid.
Yep.
Ryu actually returns with a Negatron cloak for the Kassadin laning phase. And look at that, he still does a boatload of damage there with that Dark Seal. So you don't see him rushing things like the Hextech Gunblade or even just the Revolver.
Yeah, he did get a super nice trade there. Barely missed out on the cannon. But the wave control here is definitely going to be in his favor. We'll see what they can do when he pushes up. LeBlanc now level 6 is the capable roamer. Summoner spells, though, have been blown. He doesn't have his flash. Maybe he could target Impact. Impact, remember, though, he didn't have to burn his flash in the last gank from Inori. So it might not be able to find too much value there.
Ryu with so much control over that lane. Just with a little bit of minion control. Heads up. He just gets himself healthy again. Can't actually make a full roam off that with Jensen's push, but he brings Inori back in for the possible hit. Collateral damage is there.
He's got collateral,
but looked like there's enough damage for him to follow up.
The one thing you can count on here, mainly with Jensen, is that he'll always dodge skill shots. Does it once again here on the Kassadin. Usually on Kassadin, and once you hit that level 60, you feel so much more comfortable. Definitely going to have to respect the mid laner presence here, though.
And we're seeing a little bit of a shift here from what Phoenix1 had done previously against Cloud9 in their last meeting. because that was their top lane getting destroyed and their bottom lane getting destroyed, and Cloud9 could focus top. Now, there's so much pressure from Inori mid, and Contracts is also answering that. This just seems to be, Cloud9's like, we saw the quarterfinals, we saw what Ryu did. You can't let him have control of the game, and I think that goes for both teams. You just can't let one of these mid laners take it over. So it's going to be a brawl here, and we're going to see a lot of control wards fighting for vision back and forth.
And if we talk about that vision that you're mentioning, look at the minimap right now. There are Phoenix1 wards in both quadrants of C9's jungle. They have it completely lit up here. So Contracts is very easy to track for them.
Yep.
And Inori has just been farming away.
Woo. Sneaky taking quite a bit of damage. Re-looking at that from Inori, he was actually 40 mana short for that collateral damage in mid to take down Jensen. So the plays are still being attempted by P1, and they're still getting the aggression in the lanes that they seem to want so far. A little bit of a CS lead hasn't really led to too much in this game, and it's still open for anybody.
Yeah, this is a blue buff takeaway, and so they're denying this from Ryu in the mid lane. Contracts was able to go from his red to here. And you want to say something?
And here is the stage of the game where it could get explosive in the bottom lane. The Ash Arrow is ready for Sneaky. Teleports are about to come back off cooldown for the top laners. And of course, Zig does have his Stand United. So these next engages, even around mid lane here, where there's a lot of damage, could result in Shen Stand United and First Blood coming fairly soon.
We see Impact backing right now a sliver on his teleport, and his is going to be up with nobody else's in the game. Possible play here for C9.
And one of the things I really like about League of Legends at the highest level is those two control wards that are on the left side of mid for Cloud9, they were Phoenix1's not a minute ago. And so you're going to see these kind of pockets of time where the vision is in one team's favor, and then they'll fight for it and take it back. So you have to make plays off the retake of the vision or when you have that vision. So if you try to clear those control wards out as Phoenix1, you really have to worry about Cloud9 killing you then. But once you establish that vision, then it's Cloud9 who have to do the same thing to retake it. And it's always that risk you kind of have to juggle back and forth. But now we see control ward purchases coming back off this next buy here for the bot side of Phoenix1, and they'll try to set up some vision around there, because right now Cloud9 have 4 control wards that are unharassed right now all throughout the river.
Inori's the one starting his sweeping duty, take the crab, and then see how many of these control wards he can pick up. Doesn't check this one.
Zero.
Ryu will pick up the slack though, able to get the one on the top side here. A little bit of dragon control vision coming in as well from Smoothie, as he does have the first roam into the river. Always have to be very careful as well when going for the early roams towards the river here for these.
And that's a blind river for Phoenix1. They don't have any vision throughout that entire Drake area. It's control warded, and there's no scuttles for them either. So Smoothie and Sneaky both, if they shove up, they can just go mid, they can send skill shots mid, they can roam, and there's a lot of pressure there that Phoenix1 have to try and retake off of pushing lanes. Like right now, Ryu pushed up, now he gets to check.
They do know there's a bit of activity down there. True Shot Barrage was because we saw Jensen leave lane, trying to steal the blue. So Ryu playing pretty scary with the clone, but he keeps himself safe otherwise.
I wonder if that was the real one or
Oh my god, why is he just taking this?
He's a madman. But he was just checking, making sure there's no vision or anybody coming up while he's clearing the ward.
Playing it very smart. Take the hit from Jensen.
Baiting.
He thinks he's safe.
And here comes Contracts with the ulti. Gets himself forward. Flash is up. That's Ryu's flash as well. He can still teleport back in if Inori's here to make another play on an unsuspecting C9, but they are suspecting.
And finally, the control wards take their toll there. That is all about vision, because Jensen, for us, it was very clear that he's baiting, but Ryu gets taken in there, and Contracts fully aware of the escape path, able to head him off and going for the quick flash auto. Q to finish him off. First blood over to the assassin.
It's so strange as well, because it looked like Ryu had spotted Contracts when he was clearing the ward, but he thinks he's safe because Inori is right here at the Raptors, and so Contracts, really great use of the R there to get into lane and leap in front of him, lands a Q, and then the flash auto attack. It's that false sense of security when you have your jungler nearby and you're trying to bait the other guy in, then it ends up being you.
Got to keep up your warding as well. Do your due diligence. Ryu's trying to fight back a little bit here. constantly clearing out wards around his lane.
Got that return on investment for trying to clear everything. Getting a good amount of money for it, but very surprised C9 has been able to continue getting these catches onto Ryu, getting him out of lane with flash. Every person on P1 is going to be hard to grab. We said that at a champion select, so for C9 to get kills here in lane is fantastic.
Yeah, and also Contracts can play a little bit for summoners here, blow his flash just to get a flash out of Ryu, so Jensen doesn't have to blow his to follow. And there's things like that, that if the jungler plays for summoners of the enemy laner, there's more pressure on that laner for the coming future, because now Jensen can R in and trade very heavily, but he'll always have the flash, and he'll usually have a way to get out. But this is not his area.
Looks to buff up Ryu here for a moment. Can they get the lockdown? Jensen knows end of the line against the wall from Inori would be too much damage. And gets that skill shot dodge right in there.
Do you like this push from Phoenix1, though, to try and retake some of the vision? I mean, this has just been such a constant battle here, as the control wards have not lasted long at all.
No, not at all. And every time you push, you go and you check. And now Smoothie caught out while trying to get it.
Got to respect the chain there. Smoothie goes for the flash.
And that's exactly what I was saying. You have to make plays off the vision retake. So this will just keep happening back and forth.
Right.
You'll see like every other minute after backs, people will get more to try and replace.
And remember, we still haven't even seen the Arrow or the Stand United come through to fully commit to these skirmishes around control wards.
You don't need them. You don't need them. I went back. I got a ward. We can fight. Where do you want it? Where do you want it? I have another ward. Let's fight around it.
It's true. Shield didn't even come through for Ryu when he died. So.
But they do need the arrow. We do need the true shot barrages, and we need to see a fight soon. These teams are making me antsy in my pantsy. 20K on both sides here. 1 kill for C9, and things have slowed down quite a bit. A lot more vision down towards that bottom side and pings towards Dragon here for Contracts.
Looks like they're rotating over to start this one up for C9. Now, it's very hard to get off a channeled Stand United. You can still give your shield over, but Impact should, with all his tools available, be able to interrupt that no problem, and they don't even go for it.
Yeah, reason that was started up is they saw blue buff timer because they took it last time. They know it's being handed off to Ryu, so jungler and mid laner are on top side of the map. No way they can make it to the Drake, so Cloud9 take it off that window of opportunity. That Abyssal Scepter first item, no Gunblade or even components in sight for Ryu. He just wants to survive against this Kassadin. He's kind of allowing the Kassadin to scale up a little bit by not returning a whole bunch of damage, but he's looking for a little bit of burst here, I would say, but it's just a mix of survivability. It's not even that offensive of a build at all.
Yeah, I really don't like rushing the full Abyssal. I'm such a huge fan of just sticking on that Negatron cloak. It's so efficient. Regardless, though, we're going to have a confrontation in the jungle.
Contracts. Guesses again on this one. Move forward. Dodged out that first bit of the ultimate, gave him enough invisibility to get himself to safety. Smoothie with the roam up, but still in vision for Ryu, so he can play it safe, and the team starts to kind of pan out of this one.
Man, C9 members really get themselves into some situations where you have to rely on dodging. Both Contracts and Jensen have been able to dodge themselves out of some sticky situations, though, and he's able to live.
It's the skill test there. You know, you just got to put yourself in these situations all the time. Do it in scrims, play and get better at it from stage.
Hard mode.
Take some risks. It's true, League of Legends, I don't think you can really win a game without taking some risk, but they are actually taking a decent amount of risks there on those invades, and then they're just going for mechanical outplay to minimize that risk, or minimize at least the output that comes back their way.
Arrow just cresting 300 on that tier, as we see him already dealing some significant damage to Sneaky in lane with a finished blade.
Yeah, and even though Ryu is constantly trying to use his clone for scouting here, the vision war is just being won by Cloud9. They're the ones that keep resupplying here. And Phoenix1 are definitely feeling the pain from the lack of extra time, to react to these plays. Inori trying to move in, though, as Graves and help out Ryu once again with cleaning up the mid lane fog of war.
It's that mid lane. Everybody's fighting for some type of priority on mid, and everybody's using pressure to get there. So there's another risk there in Contracts, trying to punish Inori. Oh, he didn't get knocked back.
Got back. Wild growth up. Inori may still be able to fight here. Has Sig coming in, wants to get him there for the taunt, but they decide to pull out. Interrupted in the top lane. That was the ultimate from Impact, as he wasn't in range for the body slam. and they have fizzled out the fight on both sides of the map.
With everybody rotating up, though, Sneaky has the inside track on this bottom lane turret, and because of that skirmish, it's scary for Phoenix1 to actually make an efficient rotation back down to the turret. So a lot of damage being put out here.
Yeah, when you push out the jungler, your jungler gets to take that vacuum of that empty space, and so Contracts moves up, places some wards, and then you can't have that inside track like Shady did right there.
Returning to lane. Doesn't look like they try to get too much aggression on. Actually, Shady gets hit up. They're going to take him down just below half. He's going to be safe for now. They should be able to farm whatever comes to the turret, but it looks like Contracts is on his way.
And that's a chunk out ulti. That's to get him to back so you can get more damage on this turret, but Shady's going to pop some potions. They might call Inori down here, but Contracts is here knowing that that's the next step for P1.
Everybody's well aware that this objective should fall soon. A lot of extra champions being committed down here.
Look at this. Jensen and Contracts were waiting just in case Ryu starts going for these wards again.
Gonna have to figure out how much gold he's got off these after this game.
You can check wards destroyed afterwards, and we'll see.
Absolutely. 18 minutes. Not too much action between two teams that are a bit timid here in the early game. Their engages are hard to start, and then they second guess and pull off before the kills can come through.
There's a control ward in that bush, stopping that vision. So Inori is there, and they have some knowledge of it with Cloud9. They don't have perfect knowledge, but they know he's in that area. And here comes Contracts again with the R.
That team is very slippery to get a hold of, and they know of his presence on the bot side now. It's like Inori's not going to act on anything. In that play, nothing comes of it.
Yep, able to get the heal out of Arrow, and that is all. Teleport being used from Jensen to get back to the mid lane. So for a short amount of time, Ryu has a small advantage. They were able to shove the wave as well. Inori bottom lane.
That's the flash out of Smoothie, though, and the heal out of Sneaky. So they actually got the return summoner spells there from Shady and Arrow.
And I have to say, you know, kind of the work that Cloud9 did in the break is really showing here, and a lot of the setup. Uh-oh, Shady!
One more
it's a bait!
Shady stays alive, end of the line's not going to hit. Sneaky takes the forward with the Mystic Shot, and he is going to take the kill. Ryu's just over the side to teleport in. Does the play count? And things start to pop off for P1.
They take down the bottom lane, and now they could actually answer this first turret. Their bottom lane never went down, and Phoenix1 are going to get right back in there.
Get themselves a gold lead. They'll lose damage on the mid turret. They'll lose mid priority.
Get it first.
And they'll end up losing that top. Yeah, they already got it. They'll end up losing the top side of their jungle. They actually aren't going to return and take that blue buff on Cloud9's side, but they will lose their top side jungle. So Contracts gets a little bit out of this, but Inori got an assist.
Going to also have to be worried about the aftermath here, because the Dragon is coming up in 17 seconds, and the bottom lane turret for Phoenix1 still extremely low. So Cloud9 could recommit all their forces back down to the bottom half of the map.
And it's unusual as well. Maybe there weren't enough wards for Phoenix1 in their inventories or anything like that, because when you take that bottom turret, usually you litter their blue buff in that area with wards for the coming dragon fight.
All right, Sneaky knew that there was no flash left on Shady. Oh, the Standing Ida also was channeled in that. So one cooldown extra, but definitely worth it here for Phoenix1 as they take down both bottom lane kills as well as the first blood on the turret, and Jensen
double
down.
tether.
Oh, more chains! Collateral damage coming over the shoulder of his teammates as Inori picks up a kill for the work he's been doing around the map.
And this is what Kobe was talking about earlier, where if that bot lane turret goes down, the snowball, you start moving your bot lane to mid, and now they're going to take this turret down too. Phoenix1, they're starting to get their bot lane freed up, and Shady actually made a great play there to show up right on time.
Team that's hard to catch in their ability to escape is also very hard to control if they can get around the map. Like you said, they're on the move, and it's going to be hard to stop P1 now.
And that Dragon we mentioned is available here. Blue Steel very quick for Phoenix1, and they should be able to take the Cloud Drake as well.
That's crazy that they ended up getting that blue afterwards, because the reset from Cloud9 looks like they didn't get out fast enough.
Right, they stayed at blue side.
Exactly, and then there was too much pressure on Jensen. Maybe he was trying to go for that side, and that's where he got caught out there. And now that's going to be Cloud Drake also going over to Phoenix1 like we said before. There we go. We have now the Hextech Revolver for Ryu. He's going for Gunblade second after the Abyssal to just get through the laning phase.
Take another look at this pick here as Ryu is the one to land the first chain as he starts it off on Jensen.
Oh, it didn't seem like he was fully on his screen.
Okay. There's opportunity there for Jensen to rift walk to the right, but he had spotted Inori, I believe.
Right.
And so if you go to the right, you kind of choose between a Graves and a Karma. Your Lulu's on that side, but he didn't have wild growth available.
Setting up a pinch on the bottom lane. Block able to get out pretty easily so far.
Look at that damage!
Chain back, he doesn't have a chance.
Not so easy.
He said so far. This is where it's getting hard.
Knowing his boundaries, easily getting that kill for the team. And another one helped to pick up an assist there for Jensen. His flash was used to help get an assist on that, though, but they are going to push bot lane and try to get a split before P1 can start theirs.
Yeah, and Contracts and Jensen are actually teaming up and making a great duo in this game. You're seeing the coverage from Contracts being able to make sure that Jensen is safe at all times, and then having the evolved spike racks, the 80% slow for 2 seconds when it's evolved on isolated target, just destroys the LeBlanc, even with an escape.
Oh, Jensen dodging out a few shots there, tanks 3. But it looks like the team's able to back him up. The cavalry is here, and C9 just a shot short on taking down the second tier.
So that was an ultimate from Impact to interrupt Zig's ultimate and blast him back. But now you see Cloud9 have to back up because there's a ward in that bush, in the control ward in the bush on the bottom side of the map. So there is a possibility that Zig would get a flank there if they didn't back off. They don't know where all those wards are. And
the Hextech Gunblade very close to completion for Ryu right now, in which case Phoenix1 can easily slip into that 1-3-1 that we've been expecting for the majority of this game and be able to heal up after those trades.
I do want to say, though, that Jensen is kind of already in that territory himself with the Lynchbane completed. A lot of damage to turrets, a lot of burst. But not that fast.
He has a lot of burst. He does not have the sustain. And that would be the advantage that Ryu would try and work with.
Yeah,
Go in for the trades, then back off to heal up off of the wave.
Exactly.
C9 keeping up the pressure, though, pushing mid as well.
Whoop. Missed the chain there, so it doesn't connect with Jensen. But yeah, Jensen has very minimal sustain with the Rod of Ages, giving him a little bit when he spends mana, but it doesn't matter. Pretty much nothing. It's like a health potion every now and then.
A little bit of refocus here for P1. C9 had a little free time on that second tier in mid as they got distracted by Jensen on the top side. P1 resets themselves as C9 take over their own side of the map once again. And we're going to probably see a few wards come out here. And the clearing of possibly that control ward behind red. Good job by P1 to possibly get some plays out of that one.
Yeah, really tight game so far, and a good showing here from Phoenix1. Remember that this is a team that not long ago playing in the promotion tournament. They made it all the way into the playoffs, here to semis, facing up against one of the long-time North American LCS League teams here.
Yeah, Cloud9. We talked about how they've only lost best of fives in North America to TSM. There's only been 4 teams to ever make a North American LCS finals over all of our splits. Cloud9, Counterlogic Gaming, TSM, and GGU back in the first split that we had.
That one time.
One time.
Just have to name yourself after a mythical beast and follow the storyline, right?
The rebirth. I mean, it really is. From relegation to semifinals of playoffs, fighting for a spot in the finals itself, that's incredibly impressive. And they kept 2 of those members, Zig and Inori, and then they heavily imported both Ryu and Arrow, and then built a support staff. And around that, with Korean culture, they did a boot camp in December in Korea. So Phoenix1 were all in on being a playoff team. They've made it, but they want to be a finals team.
A lot of work has gone in from both squads. Right now, though, Cloud9 pushing up to try and get some vision in the blue quadrant. Baron is alive and well. It's still very early on to try and go for him, but the Infernal Drake might be a more realistic objective here in the next minute and a half.
Still have that deep ward place. That could be a huge teleport for Zig if they actually want to start and get a pick onto somebody. Yeah. They're getting pushed in right now.
Both these teams really love Vision Denial, and it's Contracts either coming from the bush, it's Sneaky sending an arrow out, or if you're on the opposite side and you're P1, you're just looking for these picks with the LeBlanc.
Yep, Cloud9 continue to fish here. Arrow is at the ready. Double Assassins ready to strike, and attempted flank there from Impact. He was fished out by Phoenix1, and they're going to have to go deal with the push now that he spent a lot of time trying to make something happen around the mid lane.
Yeah, you just kind of push and pull off of your waves. He shoved up and had it past the dead tier 1 from Phoenix1 side, so it gave him that 30 seconds to go roam. Now he has to go back and tend to that wave, which now gives Zig a window of opportunity to make a play.
Look at the aftermath, though. A lot of vision there around the mid section of the map. Phoenix1 pushing hard for the last outer turret left standing on Cloud9's side, though.
And now the control wards go down for Cloud9, and they get replaced by Phoenix1. So it's that back and forth in the vision game here around that Baron pit. But that's the thing, it's Baron now, and Infernal's up in 30 seconds. So you're kind of setting up vision just to keep yourself safe there, but you don't want to overcommit your vision to the top side with the Baron, unless you're going to try to make a power play for it.
Yep. Contracts here is on the Kha'Zix. Definitely a champion who can fairly easily solo Dragon. And Sneaky is there, so he would be able to burn it down very quickly with that added DPS. Meanwhile, they might have to sacrifice this top lane. Jensen's getting fairly low, poked under the turret. And as I said, Ryu just keeps healing up after these trades with that Gunblade.
Exactly. That's an awesome point there about how he just keeps getting that back and it hits Shady, but I don't think they can follow up.
Knowing that much pressure is in mid, he can stay on that top side. And Nori and the team did clear out all the red wards around Baron. Ryu can stay. The team can play yo-yo here with C9 and Contract in the mid lane.
Now you're in a position where Jensen doesn't want to use his teleport to get back to top. Top lane will now take a lot of damage on that turret, potentially lose it. I believe they will here. And you give up Dragon control.
A lot of pressure gained here from Ryu, winning the split push 1v1. Infernal Drake going down quickly.
Spikes out from Contracts. Doesn't get too much, and Ryu clears the wave.
That was 300 HP off the Gunblade. So the way that the Shatter Orb works is the first target is a single target spell for spell vamp purposes, but when it bounces, it counts as an AoE. So you still get this boatload of 80% increased damage on a minion. It's insane.
Spell vamp on the entire wave definitely feels good there. Meanwhile, Phoenix1 also feeling very good about the first Infernal Drake going over to them, because as we've kind of been mentioning, there is a lot of DPS here on their lineup. Graves scaling up very nicely as well.
Yeah, now we have the Sheen coming through, so it will be a Lich Bane for Ryu in the near future here. And actually, just looking around at differences here, because Redemption is already completed for Shady, and Smoothie is actually a bit a ways from it. Doesn't have gold to even combine the two items he has in his inventory. And it just looks like Shady has been harassing a lot better in the Tribute Gold category. He's got about 200 more just from his support item.
Also with that Redemption build, hopefully keep the members alive. 2 kills on Contracts. Plays could easily come from him for Cloud9. They have stopped the buddy system of him and Jensen. And we'll have to see if they can get any picks with this arrow now. We've still yet to see one hit that the team can fully go on.
Right, there is some more pressure here on Sneaky to make it happen, because Phoenix1 are out pressuring them. We've got inside track here on the turret as well.
Yeah, here comes Impact from the side.
Teleports are up everywhere, Stand United as well. A lot of movement can be had. It looks like nobody wants to take that just yet.
Yeah, Phoenix1 doing a pretty impressive job there of 1-3-1 pressure while being able to evade Impact and the flank. Cloud9 still looking for their pick, though, with the arrow to try and lock someone down. As you said, Riv, those assassins just waiting to jump on anyone who gets picked off. And Phoenix1 doing an admirable job of evading them right now. They still have the Stand United as well. If someone does get picked.
There's one hit. Anori over the wall to put himself in between, but it's not enough. Jensen's able to clear the damage necessary, and now they find Arrow waiting to hop over the wall. There's the one they were looking for. Shady down.
And in the end, they do it without the Ash Arrow, so they still have the opportunity to try and nail someone if anyone comes to contest this Baron.
Point.
This goes so scary for Phoenix1 at the moment, and they might...
Zig would have a pretty big part to play here. He's got to hit the right people, but then he puts himself in the Baron pit. He only goes for Sneaky to stop some of the 80 damage. Ryu tries to get in, bounced out, put in by the team, and he takes Baron damage going down to Jensen. Now they're onto a Nori, and that's the arrow you were saying, Kobe. They still had to continue the fight, and now the Baron.
Now, what a disaster for Phoenix1 and Cloud9. The veteran squad here get a single pick and blow the game open.
Exactly. I love how you talk about the veteran squad, because Shady, that was definitely too far forward. He's checking, but at the same time, he gets caught out by these guys that punish your misplacements in movement, and immediately he got picked up. This right here, the fight, Impact goes in, body slams, hits Ryu into the team, and then he gets polymorphed so he can't escape.
This is a 4v5. Cloud9 also hadn't taken much damage from the Baron. Impact, he was tanking it, turns immediately around, locks up all members of Phoenix1, and Sneaky is able to get that exit arrow onto a Nori after the dash was used. Just complete cleanup there for C9. We'll have to track how big this Baron power play is, as now they've got some outer turrets to deal with. Top side is the first objective.
Yeah, it's an absolute disaster for Phoenix1, but Cloud9, huge capitalization there, denying the vision around Baron and then getting the pick onto Shady to lead into that 4v5, and they played the 4v5 correctly as well.
Spoke about how hard it would be to lock down P1, but every member of C9 slows down those members. They can get and CC down, and we just saw that happen in the fight, literally denying P1 hardly any damage. 6-3, now the second tier in mid is gonna find some friends in C9.
And we're seeing a little bit of a difference here in terms of how people have gone with their mid-game builds. You look at the top lane, Zig, he actually built mostly magic resistance during the early game to deal with both the Casting and Agragas, and he built the Titanic. Sunk a lot of gold into that. Impact didn't build for his matchup. He built Knight's Vow now. He built a Frozen Heart to deal with when he groups up, what he's going to be able to do in the team fight. So Impact still, even though it's a 1-3-1 comp, wants to play for the team fight and protect his two carries.
C9 has to be careful. Jensen out, can teleport back in. This could be a bait for the team.
Yeah, look at that ward. They're trying to lure them past this one ward in the mid lane, but Phoenix1 wisely stop the chase there and do not take the bait. Sneaky is just waiting. His arrow is off cooldown and wanted to set Jensen up. Here comes a little bit later.
Teleport to keep the minion alive. Look at all that damage to the turret. It's going to go down.
Now into Zig. Zig with the Guardian Angel is going to come up, but like I said, that slow prevents one to get everything they want. There's more slow, there's more lockup, and there's the deletion of arrow as C9 is inside the base. What a patient game from both teams as it opens up around 30 minutes. Baron's all that Cloud9 needed. Get it in front of the turret. Vizania's in the last two backs is going to keep him alive. That's the shield necessary coming in from Smoothie in the bot lane. And they're going to be going for the Nexus turrets. 34 minutes in, Cloud9 break the base, and Cloud9 follow into the Nexus to take game one.
What a game. And Cloud9 showing the importance of vision control. They kept up the vision for so long, and after the single pick, able to blow the game wide open and end it not 4 minutes later.
Exactly. Baron power play, victory. That's what matters in this one. The gold really didn't matter. They end the game with Baron buff still on. And like you said, the vision control around mid, they decimated, they went back and forth. And then the big thing for me is the errors. We talk about like forced and unforced errors. That was kind of a forced error that you really didn't have to take. So it's kind of like a weird unforced error where it's like, you got to check this as a support, but they ended up blowing up Shady and they got so much off of that. But that was one that they set up with vision. So it's kind of a forced error in that way from the rookie support.
Well, seeing what happened in the early game, how much they were able to pressure Jensen and both Ryu shows a lot of love for that mid lane. Contracts was able to come up very big, but like you said, that mistake coming in and the veteran squad of C9 being able to see how to prepare for that, call the audible, and take the fight they needed.
And not feel nervous at all, because a lot of teams will fight back and forth for vision. You'll get kind of antsy, be like, nothing is happening, and then you want to take that fight over that control ward. But they were completely fine going, you take that one, we'll get the next one in a minute, back and forth, back and forth.
And that's the thing, with Phoenix1's comp, they are also a 1-3-1. You know, both these teams have similar values, except that Phoenix1 have so many less options for creating the play. They're inherently a defensive setup with the Stand United. If they're going to create something on their own, it would have to come from Rio's LeBlanc.
Exactly. They have the karma to kind of speed themselves up to get away from most engages, but you're talking about the arrow can come through and make a play, the casting can jump in, the Gragas is also a playmaker, so there's just so many more options for engage on Cloud9's part as opposed to P1.
All right, so to give us their insight on that Cloud9 win, we're going to head it over, or send it over to the analyst desk so we can hear what's in their heads.
Thank you very much. And yes, we have plenty in our heads, big brains here, ready to talk about League of Legends. So Cloud9 coming away with the Game 1 win. Honestly, pretty impressive. A slow game to be sure, but one they did take control of eventually.
Yeah, and I actually really like the Cassidy pick in particular for Jensen. You know, Scar was talking about, he said, Jensen, the perfect game for him is he just plays 1v1. And I think split pushers work very well for that. And I think not only did it work well into this matchup, but scaling into the late game, it's a fantastic pick.
I think P1's draft even accounted for the Cassidy pick, because usually when you're playing assassin versus assassin, the assassin that has Shen always wins, because when he gets to split push options at the very end, or even like level 6 1v1 options, Shen is able to block off the solo kill opportunities and create more opportunities for the one with the Shen. However, That's what I didn't like about P1. They didn't really never use a proactive Shen ult this game, or they used very few. And so I felt like they didn't really use Shen properly, and the pick itself is not as good in teamfights as Gragas.
Plus, I have to say, the Kazakhs actually worked really well to shut off Shen from being able to ult in defensively very often, because the Kazakhs, in combination with the Kassadin, they were often able to kill off their target before Shen could ever actually come in, and that's why I do agree you need to be proactive.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
All right, so we do actually have an example of some decent diving coming through for P1. Our first replay is where they get first turret, they get kills in the bot lane, and we can walk through this.
Yeah, and this was like, I mean, the C9 bot lane was doing great, and this is a play where Honori was lying in wait, and this time, like, Sneaky flashes backwards. I actually think you should just flash in and accept your death, trade a kill there, because he had Shady dead to rights. He tries to run, but he's not able to actually get out, and P1's able to clean up a couple kills and grab that eventual first turret.
Yeah, I think they were really fortunate in the situation that P1 was, and that C9 kind of took this bait. It's something where it was like, well, you just saw Nori in the area, or you suspected he's in the area, and they still kept going forward, and they lost first tower because of this. And if you look mid and look top, they were really close to breaking both turrets anyways. Like, C9 was at the point where they're in a good position. C9's typical game is that their early game is very good, and they want to get the team fighting as fast as possible. They slowly win lanes, and their mid lane was slowly getting to the point where it was just going to be, or they're winning all 3 lanes, except, well, 2 lanes and not the top lane.
Yeah, Zig was winning in farm against Impact, but theoretically he's supposed to be able to leave the lane. What was interesting is we actually saw that 1v1 very long in the top side of the map, Ryu versus Jensen, and Ryu just took Jensen's turret up there. Like, he was winning the 1v1 matchup, actually. Maybe the threat of Shen changed that, but Gunblade LeBlanc was beating the Kassadin. Yeah,
and I think part of that is because of the sustain that the champion has. If you can continuously trade out like that, then sometimes it can be pretty advantageous. But, I mean, we did see it go a bit of both ways, right? I think that if either one of the champions gets ahead, then it can become pretty oppressive. You know, the Kassadin can be pushing forward for those trades and kind of keep LeBlanc on the back foot. But if you get caught by a chain, if you take one bad trade, you can lose half your health very quickly.
This matchup used to be really one-sided to the Kassadin once he got out of lane, but with the new Gunblade build, like, you don't get to do exactly what you did before with Kassadin. It used to be you go in, you poke them down a bit with Qs and Es and all that stuff, but now with the Gunblade build, you just sustain all the way back up. And so Kassadin doesn't have the 100-0 burst power of like an Annie, and so the new Gunblade build actually smooths out LeBlanc's like mid to late, especially against this matchup, quite a bit.
All right, so we did, though, despite the fact that 1v1 wasn't maybe going great, C9 did find themselves the team fight that basically just won the game. They got the pick, they got the Baron, they just ended the game off of it. We have a replay of that.
Yeah, I mean, Kassadin was up farm, did have some kills, was very strong at this point, and they see a kill they can go for, and they fully commit to it. With both the Kassadin coming in and the Kazakhs there, they're able to kill off Shady before Shen can actually get through, and then go straight to the Baron and turn for a fight.
Yeah, and here Zig comes in way too soon, gets picked off really easy. Gragas is a great barrel on LeBlanc, gets polyed while he's flying in midair, and LeBlanc does almost 0 damage this whole fight.
And I mean, it's really tough. You were talking how much the Ashe pick actually really mattered for C9 because it made it very difficult for people on P1 to dive in, like the LeBlanc. And I think that Lulu just makes that even more difficult with the polymorph. It's very tough to actually navigate these teamfights properly.
Yeah, and especially when you're looking into mid-late game, like, one team wants Ashe Arrow to set up the fight, and the other team has to make a proactive play with Shen ulti to be able to take over the mid game. And unfortunately, only one of the teams were able to do that. Like, I think that P1 didn't do a great job at doing that, and on top of that, C9 tended to have better vision control the entire game. Even the way they got the first kill on the mid lane, they had 3 pinks down when they got the first kill mid. It was super, well controlled by them.
Absolutely. So a well-controlled game. Cloud9 on your screen right now. They are 1/3 of the way of getting themselves back into the NALCS finals. Well, now throughout the playoffs, of course, we've been looking for the biggest and baddest moments of the spring split. And here's one of our favorites from Cloud9's rookie jungler.
Here comes the Wrecker. He's empowered. He's got the kill. Goes in, lands the root. That's going to be the damage he needs. Nicely played there by Contracts. Goes summoner spells. Lots of damage for Contracts. Just destroys him where he stands. Contracts just break the game over his knee. Looking for number 5. Here comes the damage up, and he does. 5 solo kills for Contracts.
This is insane what Contracts is doing to this game.
Shockwave's gonna catch a couple from Cody's son. Cody, not long for the world. Kill number 15 for Contract. Almost single-handedly wins the game.
I think games like this are so awesome to watch because it's like the solo queue dream. You're like, yeah, I'd do this in LCS too. And very rarely do players get to have as dominant of a game as this.
And when this happens, if you're on his team, you're just like, all right, carry me. Because I don't have to do anything. You're 9-0. great. Make yourself look good, make us look good too.
Yeah, and they did it, of course. That was a fun game to watch. Now, as we do have to go for a break, of course, game 2 coming up soon. But as we get ourselves to that one with Cloud9 taking on Phoenix1, Dash caught up with an interview with both Contracts and Reaper, the rookie and coach of the split for C9. You don't want to miss it when we come back.
All right, I'm gonna try to start with enhanced partner precision.
Enhance.
At least the first game. See how it feels.
Enhance.
He thinks he's safe.
And here comes Contracts with the ulti. Gets himself forward. Flash is up. That's Ryu's flash as well. Sneaky take forward with the Mystic Shot. And he is going to take the kill. Ryu's just over the side to teleport in. Does the play count? And things start to pop off for P1.
Look at that damage.
Shane back.
Okay.
He doesn't have a chance.
Not so easy.
Contracts.
So far, this is where it's getting hard.
I'm look around. Yeah, I'm here. I'm fight. Yeah. Graves, 2, 1. Oh, Graves. Yeah, Baron. Go Baron.
As it opens up around 30 minutes. Baron's all the Cloud9 needed. Get it in front of the turret. The dodges. And the last 2 backs is going to keep him alive. That's the shield necessary coming in. Cloud9 break the base, and Cloud9 follow into the Nexus to take game 1.